I've actually made it today on my planned day. So welcome. If you're watching this, I hope you get value. Do let me know. I'd appreciate it if you like, comment and share. It's good to spread the word to the ladies. I'm here to support and serve as a certified coach. Anyway, let's get to it. So I thought I'd talk about the subject of having hard days and the acceptance that they're going to happen, because that's life. I'm going to refer to my notes, so sometimes I will look away off screen, so I hope that's okay with you, because I want to hit on some of the salient points and places to look, as well as give you some pause for thought so that you can see what's available for you. As the saying goes, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But it is my hope that you'll reference this video in times of need, and my other videos, now that I'm being more consistent in the delivery of the weekly lives. If there's something you need in particular support on, do reach out to me. So it's to be expected. There's going to be challenges in life, some that are expected and we can plan for, strategize to some, or even make space for, but there's others that are unexpected and they can cloud our judgment, and I'll go into that in a bit more depth. But basically it's a reminder that your best in amongst that can look different moment to moment, day to day, week to week, month to month. And so the purpose of this video is to let you know that that's okay, and also to be aware that time to time you will invariably come up against, the dips, the bumps and turns along the road in your journey. I'll pick that more specifically and I'll explain, because I talk, when I made the post about doing this live, about seeing through the fog on your way to peace and clarity, because that is available to you. And also that through that experience you can get learning and growth, because if you're not growing, if you're not learning, you're doing the opposite, you're dying, and I don't want that for you. So, like I said, it's about being prepared for that to happen, if it does happen. And it's how you build your courage and your resilience in immense chaos that could happen arising out of an experience, circumstance or event, and what you made that mean. And there are ways that you can explore it. So I'll share some self-awareness questions that you can go away and make note of to delve into what is coming up for you. So if you're facing any difficulties and you can't see past, you can't, and this is what I mean by the fog, your judgment's clouded for whatever reason, I would encourage you to seek support from trusted family or friends, or even seek professional help. And that is okay to do, having done so myself. And a safe space that you create for yourself is the ability to see beyond your limitations, or to be even aware of what you need to attend to, look at, search for a deeper understanding of what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, and actually act from a healthier place. Because as I explained on previous videos, we all to a degree have coping mechanisms and ways, habits, even addictions, ways of doing things that are actually not in our best interest or even serving us or others. So it's the invitation as always to explore those for you, because obviously I'm not you. I've been open about some of mine. When I work with clients, I can go into a deeper, if it's relevant, of course, to what's coming up to them, and in that space, so that they can identify the possibilities that is currently not in front of them because they just can't see it. And in that regards, it's holding space for what's there in a way that really questions and challenges whatever limits that they may have placed on themselves through no fault of their own, or been placed on them by others. Because as I also mentioned in my post on Facebook, that is, it's understanding so that you are not a pawn, you actually operate like a queen. And I had a video on that, and I think at some point I'll circle back to give that more context, more meaning, because obviously I'm talking to ladies. I understand there's other people watching me, and that's okay. But you know, the decision I made some time ago was to work with ladies only. So in whatever is coming up for you, it's really important for you to recognise that you do be kind to yourself. Treat yourself with kindness, treat yourself with compassion, because if you're not giving it to yourself, there's no chance, it's not possible for you to give it to others. I don't believe it's possible, because until you recognise those moments that you need it, how is it possible for you to give it to others from a healthy space? This is what I'm talking about. And I don't want you to get down on yourself, because that's very easy to do. I've covered videos on internal self-talk dialogue, and I'm going to mention it again. It's really important to pick up on those voices, those parts of you asking for something to be met that's not currently being met, or you're not aware that there's a need in you that's not being met as a foundational piece. And that could be behind some of the challenges you're facing because of the way that you're reacting as opposed to responding to them. So I hope that makes sense. Do send me a message if you need some clarity around that piece. So I'm going to take a sip of my herbal tea. So it's asking yourself some self-awareness questions that might help you in identifying what could be possibly come up for you as a launch pad to deeper dive the emotions that are coming up with it. And this is connecting the whole self, the physical, the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, the financial even, because I've mentioned a few times that that is another area of wellness that could be impacting you, that you may not be conscious of, that needs to be handled and taken ownership and accountability and responsibility for. I'm again not talking about anything that I haven't gone through myself. So I don't want you to also gloss over any experiences, any emotions that you feel are valid in that space. But it's the invitation to take a closer look. And this can be uncomfortable, particularly if you haven't gone there, because stuff comes up all the time. And it's there surfacing because it wants to be acknowledged, and that goes back to me suggesting, because it's very important, the understanding of being compassionate of self, being kind to self in your experience. So it's asking questions like, what knocked me off track? What fears are holding me back? What am I choosing to focus on? So make a note of those, or rewatch the video if you've missed what I said. So it's something I would invite you to get a piece of paper, quiet space, maybe not listen to music, but listen to something that's not distracting as music. I use sometimes classical music. I sometimes listen to jazz or meditative sound bath type music that helps me with my journaling. That might not be appropriate to you. That's just merely a suggestion. But there's something I would like to share, a statement made by the people, the lady actually that came up with the Daily Greatness, which is something, a resource I use, is becoming whole, congruent person means person you are on the inside is the person on the outside. I'll say that again. Becoming whole, congruent person means the person you are on the inside is the person on the outside. Because like I said, being whole and feminine, I probably didn't say it in these terms, is what stops you being moved about like a pawn. I don't want that for you. I want queenness. So what do I mean by congruent? It comes from the Latin verb, in this context, hopefully it'll make sense, to come together, correspond with, to come together, correspond with. And I'll also invite you to reference my previous video from last week on mirrors, because I think there might be something there for you if you go back over this video after watching this one. So I'm going to go in now into a bit more depth. How do we see past the fog on the way to peace and clarity? Very good question. So think about, if you're a driver of a car, maybe a big vehicle, any vehicle, what do you do when there is fog? You're driving through fog. You would use a light beam. You would use your fog lights. You probably reduce your speed because your visibility is limited. You probably slow right down, reduce speed. You'll increase the pressure on the brakes just in case you need to, or you'll realise that there's not much visibility, you can't see, so you'll pull over at the nearest available spot and park. So if you think of it in those terms, it's kind of like feeling lost, being depleted, confused, possibly frustrated, energy levels are low, your enthusiasm is dwindling. These are all indicators that a light needs to be shined on, the light beam, because you're in darkness, there's fog, and out of putting a light, giving space, time, clarity should invariably emerge, and along with it, peace. And the kind of peace I'm talking about is peace in self. Okay. So it's also the understanding not to let, sorry, my stomach's grumbling, I'm a bit hungry. Don't let distractions, voices and information being thrown at you, because we are in the information age. There's a lot out there and it's easy to get muddled with the different sources. It's very easy. I've been there myself. So it's being aware that you might also be overstimulated. What do you mean, Karen? We are bombarded with so many messages that we're not even aware of that impact our decisions. So when you're aware that you're overstimulated, for example, for me, I find social media, unless I'm using it intentional, a source of distraction. And how I know I'm distracted, because I'm spending too much time on it. And how I know that is because I've been monitoring my usage for some time to draw certain conclusions about its value in my life. And therefore I made healthier choices to step away from using it to the volume that I used to years ago, in, for example, picking up the phone, going onto social media as soon as I woke up, once I identified a pattern of behaviour that wasn't serving me. I know I'm taking it slightly out of context, but it's for the purposes of reinforcing what I just went through. So it's focusing on what you can see and work on despite the fog surrounding on you. So I hope that makes sense. And I'm also going to give you another example, because it will segue into the next point. Some time ago, people that know me well would have known, and a lot of supporters helped me on my way to running half marathons, some of which I've done for charitable reasons. And you can't run, anybody that's run half marathons, even when I did the 10K and did it under an hour, I couldn't do it in one go. I didn't just go out and just run 100K, the 10K, I didn't go out and just run 13.75 miles. I should really know that. Anyway, but you know what I'm getting at. I did not just go out and do that. I did a step-by-step process. I focused on what was in front of me at that moment. So I had a plan of how I was going to do the run, and it was building me up to that distance. And what I mean by that is taking the focus off the bigger picture and going back into what is in front of you, so it's more manageable, in the same way as building habits, which are the purposes of the video I'm not going to go into. I do have resources available in the daily habits group. Do join us in there if you need assistance in perhaps cultivating those habits that you need, so that you can build up your self-awareness muscle. Because believe it or not, it's not something you're born with. It's something that needs to be cultivated, and something to grow in observation of self. So it's also focusing on what brings you clarity, and slowing down is a good start. It's a good starting place. Because as I mentioned, when I mentioned about if you're a driver driving the fog, you slow down, right? So if you know you're frustrated, you're overwhelmed, if you know this, you feel it, as in, and it's often a visceral experience. In the body you feel it, in the body you feel tension, then that's an indicator. That's like on the dashboard, the warning lights. When you're driving, you see red light flashing, you know something is needed. It could be petrol, it could be there's something mechanical in the car that needs to be attended to, because I know most cars now have some digital aspect to it that's informative, that it's time for it to be serviced. All these are all interlinked. So it's being present in the moment, not fixed in the past. You can't do anything, it's been gone. I know I'm being general here because obviously I talk to a lot of people, videos, to get a deeper understanding. Come to me for a conversation so I can help you see a way forward. That's what coaching calls are for, programs for working through strategies, tools, resources, because I've developed over the years quite a library, all stuff that I've used and is evidence-based, most of which, and then it's the direct experience, my flavour I bring in. But anyway, I go off track. So being present in the moment is not being fixated on the past. It's already happened. I know it's a blasé way of looking at it, but stick with me here. It's been and gone. The future hasn't happened yet. So all there is the here and now. And that's where your focus needs to be if you're experiencing fog. It makes sense, right? So you're not going to speed up. It's not going to get you through the fog any quicker, or it might. But in doing so, you're stepping over the indicators that something needs to be attended to, and invariably you could be met with another challenge unforeseen because you can't see it. So therefore you can't avoid it. So hopefully that's making sense. So like going back to when I was running half marathons, 10k races, it's 1 foot in front of the other in running. 1 foot in front of the other, 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time. It's whatever is required in the moment, and you can be the best judge of that if you slow down. And also to see the experience when you're having the bad day, or if it's ongoing. If it's ongoing, I would definitely highlight seeking professional help, because there could be something deeper there that a therapist would be better suited, or a counsellor would be better suited in getting to the why of that. But to focus your attention on the here and now so that you can see the gift, opportunity or lesson. I'm going to focus on the gift and opportunity rather than the lesson aspect. So it's finding joy and beauty in the everyday, even in the midst of difficulty. You might realise that there's more to learn, more you need to learn. You've got more growing to do before you can advance onto the what next. I mention that because I used to be like a bit of a magpie. One of the distractions I had, as they say, the next shiny bright thing. And certainly I experienced that as I became a coach and started to work on clients and decided there was all these things that I wanted to do, but I was getting ahead of myself. And in doing so, I experienced some difficulties that I learned from, to realise that I shouldn't just jump onto the next thing. I needed to build, I needed to focus on the next step as it materialised, as I got clearer on the how, on the what and how would take place naturally. To take a moment to appreciate what you have, the richness of life, which is why I advocate for mindfulness or mindful-based practices, and I also have a group that I support in that, and I also contribute into that twice a month. Perspectives, resources and things like that. And it's helping the community there to get more attuned to what I mean about the statement I made earlier that I shared and credited daily greatness. Because being congruent is figuratively speaking, that is of similar character of type, so that you're greater aligned to those things you say you want, that you desire, as opposed to misalignment. And misalignment will have indicators of a need not being met. And this is the foundational stuff. And being aware of who you are regardless of the societal measures of success. I got very distracted about what things were the right things to do, but weren't actually the right things for me. They were irrelevant, and because I was chasing them under the expectation I was a good person because I achieved these things, was actually quite a wake-up call for me. And I say this from a space of what's going on around the world. If you really take an honest look at it, it's not normal, it's very performative, and it is for a reason, and it isn't a reason that's going to serve you, which is why this is a conversation for me, a discussion around self-awareness and self-mastery. So, takeaways. double down on nourishing self-care practices. If you're not already doing so, now is a good place to start. This is how you're going to build your courage and your resilience during those bumps, dips, turns in the road that you might experience in your journey to your best life. Journaling, I've always mentioned journal. I've been talking about it for 4 years. I've been a journaler for several years, certainly coming up to 8. I've found a huge benefit. I just realised my light's gone down in mind. Because it will help you identify what makes you positive and experience less of what makes you feel negative, because you're picking up on patterns, you're picking up on cycles that you're involved in, that you're participating in, that you could also be choosing because you're not actually changing them. Because once you're aware of what you are choosing, and especially if you know it's detrimental to you and to others, then that's a choice. And when that's a choice, that is something to be looked at. Why you choose it. There's a payoff there. There's a clue there for you. Payoff. Sometimes those payoffs are not actually serving, they're not beneficial, and are detrimental if they're impacting you in unhealthy ways and others in unhealthy ways. And that's what I mean. Pawn, you'd be moved about like a pawn, you'd be limited. If you think about it as chess, queen is a power player. It's one of the most powerful pieces on the board besides the king. But being a queen, being whole, being feminine means that there's aspects that is to be embraced. I'm talking about energies here that will serve you better if you embody them, which is part of the reasons why I got into embodiment, because I realise most people say what they want, but they don't actually align themselves, they don't actually tune themselves, they don't create the daily habits, they don't do what it takes to get the thing. That's what the difference between people that are becoming better, working on themselves, and those that are not and still complaining about the same things years and years down the line. This is no judgment, but expecting things just to happen because you've read a book or consuming content, information, getting yourself distracted, jumped onto the next thing, not being consistent, not being committed, will invariably have an impact on your outcomes, your results, what is desired, because I'm usually focused on what is desired, what is wanted. So start challenging whatever's coming up for you in a safe space, free from judgment. And it's my hope that these suggestions that I've shared today are powerful ways of clarifying your thoughts and your feelings, so you get to learn something, even from upsetting circumstances, events, situations, because it's a way. It's not the defined way. You know, there's many ways to go, but I would say that I advocate for what I'm suggesting because I'm walking the walk and I'm talking the talk. So it could be a way for you to get the best out of your life, because you only have one. one currently, if you believe in reincarnation, which I'm starting to lean into as I do more research and work on myself, the possibility that you can come back, and I'm not sure you want to reincarnate into what's happening right now. So I would be a force of change, and that needs you to be at the cause instead of the effect, and what needs to be done right now. So I hope this helps. It's my wish for you that if you're watching this, you're getting value. So do like, comment and share. Can't say that enough. Also to check out my YouTube channel. There's quite a few videos on there now. When I last look, actually I don't want to say a number, but there's quite a few videos there now. I think there's a few I need to upload because I never got round to it because of my schedule. It happens time to time, which is sometimes I miss the mark on getting to the weekly videos. I'm rewarding myself when I'm consistent. I'm going to reward myself with a nice non-alcoholic beer because I'm still off the alcohol for the time being. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate those that checked in. Thank you very much. And I'll catch you next week.